Alright, welcome back everyone. This is the video we call Weather for Weather Geeks. Tonight, even if you're not a weather geek, I think you'll find a lot of this information to be particularly helpful. It's going to be a very, very busy weather evening here across the Mahoning and Shenango valleys. We'll go through this kind of quickly. I'm going to be doing more videos on the app and on Facebook and YouTube, perhaps throughout the rest of the evening with all that's going on, but we'll cover the basics in this video, and we'll try not to make the video too long. Of course, the last 24 hours have been very, very wet. An inch or so worth of rain in a lot of places, even close to an inch and a half, close to Interstate 80 over the last 24 hours, so the ground is wet. The rain has let up some over the last hour or so. I'm recording this at about 7:13 p.m., but here come the big changes off to the west. Now, watch the temperature drop in some of these places. Take New Philly, for example. This is a 3-hour loop, and it dropped from 56 down to 40 over the course of a few hours. And that's the air that's coming our way. Temperatures are going to plunge pretty quickly here in a few hours. Also, some big wet snowflakes falling now. Really good snowfall rates from Cleveland on west towards Sandusky. They had this in Toledo earlier on this evening. Let's run through what we have as far as Weather Service watches, warnings, advisories. Flood advisory out for Mahoning and Trumbull for a few more hours this evening because of all the rain that we've had. The area is split between a wind advisory, high wind warning. Don't worry about the difference. The impacts are the same everywhere. We can see some wind gusts topping out around 50 or so later on. Winter weather advisory covers our northern counties where the highest snowfall totals are likely to be. Winter storm warnings up towards Interstate 90 and up into northwest PA and southwest New York. Now, one of the things that we'll be keeping a close eye on are the road surface temperatures throughout the evening. Now, where the cold air is wrapping in, the air is turning colder, but the road and ground temperatures are turning colder out towards Cleveland. But even there, it's still above freezing. Look how warm the ODOT sensors are across eastern Ohio, far eastern Ohio, and western PA. This is something we'll keep an eye on. It'll be important because it's been warm lately, and it's not going to be crazy cold with the snow tonight, generally between 30 and 32 for the air temperatures when the snow is falling. So that makes it a little more favorable for travel conditions than it would in some other types of situations. But whether you're getting a little bit of snow, a lot of snow, wet roads, snow-covered roads, it's going to be windy everywhere tonight. At 7:14, the center of our low-pressure system, pretty easy to find. Right here, almost in our viewing area at this point, and it's on the west side of the low that the strong winds are. So the 7 p.m. gust at the airport in Cleveland and Hopkins was 41, gusting to 40 down in Zanesville. Those are the conditions we'll have here before you know it this evening. Our worst winds will be in a couple of hours, generally between 9 and 11 p.m. 40 to 50, perhaps 55 mile per hour gust is going to be a possibility because this low is strengthening as it comes east. So the wind gusts we're seeing off to the west now will probably be on the low side. They'll probably be higher, in other words, as the system moves east because it is strengthening. And wind gusts will continue to be problematic throughout the night tonight and into tomorrow morning. It's going to be a blustery, cold, and just sort of a wintry Friday. We haven't had a day like that in a while. The transition over to snow occurs mid-evening. We're talking between 9 and 10 on average. We'll go from the upper 40s to around freezing very, very quickly. And then it'll snow pretty hard for a few hours. These snowfall rates are going to be impressive. You know, we could be looking at rates of 1 inch to 2 per hour in some places. And even though road temperatures are marginal, air temperatures are marginal, when you have snowfall rates like that, especially at night, the snow can stick to the roads. Even the major roads, even the roads that have been treated a little bit, if you get 1 inch or 2 an hour snowfall rate, it can cause some problems. Now, outside of those heavier bands where the snow is lighter, it will have a hard time sticking on treated surfaces and a lot of paved surfaces. It'll have no trouble sticking to your car top and your grass and your deck and that sort of thing. But it has to snow pretty hard tonight in order to cause major problems on the roadways. Now, the snow is going to taper off as we get into tomorrow morning. As far as totals, the modeling came in overnight last night and this morning higher, and this trend has definitely continued throughout the course of the day today. And so this is valid for the airport in Vienna. Pretty good model cluster here, right around 2 inches. The European model a little higher at 3+. Now that's for the airport in Vienna. As you go south of there, amounts will be lower. As you go north of there, there will be higher. Now this is going to be a doozy of a wet snowstorm from Cleveland right up I-90. It's an I-90 special. Cleveland to Erie to Buffalo to Rochester to over to Syracuse, and then 86 across the southern tier of New York, and then far northern Pennsylvania. This is a snow blitz for them, and it's going to be very, very heavy, wet snow. Now, in our viewing area, here's what we've done with the snow map. I think this will be a general inch or two from roughly I-80 on south. Again, roughly. But once you go north of I-80 and up into the Warren area, Champion, Southington, over to Kinsman, Cortland, into the Sharon area, Greenville, up into New Lebanon, Mercer, even as far south as Grove City, perhaps. There's going to be places that get more than 2 inches in that zone, and even 3 or 4. And then, especially, once you're up into the far north, in northern Trumbull, northern Mercer, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches worth of snow is going to be a possibility in those areas. But again, for the 224 corridor, for Youngstown, for Austintown, for Salem, Lisbon, Hanoverton, Columbiana, I think an inch or 2 will be pretty common here. So as far as impacts go, power outages are going to be a concern tonight because of the wet ground, the strong winds, the wet ground weakening tree structure and root structure, and making trees easier to topple. And then you have the heavy wet snow that can adhere to tree limbs. Even though it'll be windy, it can still adhere some to tree limbs and power lines and weigh them down a little bit, and that could be problematic. School adjustments are going to be possible tomorrow morning. Not my call, certainly, and it's a borderline situation on the roads. Now, your chances of school adjustments certainly go up as you go farther north in our viewing area, but even in areas that don't get a ton of snow, if power outages end up being a big problem tonight, schools could delay or cancel tomorrow because of power problems. You never know what'll happen. In case we do have power outages tonight, it'd be a good idea to prepare this evening. Have your devices charged up, including your phones, tablets, laptops, medical devices. In the event, it's probably a small chance, but in the event we were to have a long-lived power outage, it's going to be pretty cold tomorrow. It'll get cold inside your house, so it'll be a good idea to conserve heat if you can. Seal those cracks around your doors and windows with some towels. That's not a bad idea. Of course, if you have a long-duration power outage, never a good idea to use a generator indoors. That's a catastrophic idea. Fire that thing up outdoors and run cords inside. You don't want to get carbon monoxide poisoning. Flooding is going to be a concern around the Mahoning River in Trumbull County, where we've had a lot of rain. Right now, the river at Leavittsburg is running at 8.11 feet. It'll probably reach flood stage of 10 feet later on tonight into tomorrow morning, and crest at 11.2 feet Friday evening. So I would strongly suspect we'll get some flood warnings issued by the National Weather Service in Cleveland for that. Up in the Leavittsburg area. All right, real quickly, longer range. Here's a look at the European modeling for the month of March, week by week. Some chilly weather ahead. Not crazy cold, not crazy unusual cold for March, but some chilly weather for the first half of the month. The chill probably does ease as we go into the 3rd and 4th weeks of the month. I don't think March will be as warm compared to the average as February was. February was 4th warmest on record. March is not likely to be in that sort of zone. It's not likely to be very chilly compared to average either. I think it'll be chilly for a while, but the month as a whole will probably end up near to somewhat above average temperature-wise, but I'm not expecting as big of a change from average as we had back in February. All right, of course, more updates throughout the evening. There'll be shorter videos than this. On the Storm Tracker 21 app, I'll be cutting a fresh version of that here before too much longer for the app. I'll have another update before the news tonight at 11. I may do a Facebook Live as we transition over to the wet snow here in a couple of hours, so join me on Facebook if I do that, and I suspect I will. In the meantime, thanks for watching Weather for Weather Geeks. Stay safe out there tonight and tomorrow morning, and I'll see you back here for a fresh edition of this geeky video Friday evening.